All right, everybody, welcome to another Ask a Dev stream. We are working on, if you're new to this, if you haven't been following along, we are being humbled in our journey to make an indie game. My name is Kevin. We do these streams a couple times a week for Patreon members. So first things first, huge shout out to Patreon for helping support the channel, everybody in Discord, everybody else who's helped spreading the word. This game is going to be good because of you all's support and feedback along the way. That is our goal, make a really cool, fun game. Today we are continuing our work on progression. We've got a bunch of stuff working with the UI. I know it sounds weird to say the UI is working, but basically if I can get the UI to work, that means that I can get the underlying tech working in a way that allows me to test it. So today we're going to try to connect. We're going to see if we can do this. We're going to try to connect our damage from the data table to the abilities. So let's hop in and do that. Let's see if we can't just get going. Okay, so a quick update as far as like where we're at with this since the last time. Thinking. Okay, so when we bring up our inventory, we basically, you can see we have all of our core abilities and our relic abilities. We have everything set to none right now. That's because we have not equipped anything. So when we equip stasis to tier 3, you can see it's updates. So now all of our melee attack damages, etc. That's all working. Cool. Now the big thing we got working is, being able to choose between the magic types, and then also once you've chosen your core abilities, being able to choose your relic path. So in here, if we choose Frostbinder, you'll see the basic description is a bubble, stop time, freezes enemies, and as we level this up, you'll see as you level it up, the range increases, the duration increases, etc. So all of this is now, quote, working from the standpoint that we are getting the information from the data tables, we are popping those into the UI, and it is available for us to look at. Now what we need to do is we need to connect it to our abilities, which is going to be awesome. So let's start. Let's see if we can start with our melee ability. So gameplay ability is melee ability. Gameplay attack, melee attack. All right, when the melee attack starts, we basically... Okay, what we're looking for is, wow, this is a mess. Leave every blueprint better than you found it. So that's what we're gonna do. What was happening here? Okay. Movement mode, apply the gameplay effect. Melee. Movement, that's not the one we're looking for. We don't need this print string. We're looking for where we apply the damage. Here we go, this is our melee damage. Alright, so right now we are applying melee damage at a level of... Oh, okay, we're using our crit count. Well, our crit count isn't really going to be what decides what does our damage. We got a bunch of things to do. So what we need to do here is we need to get what is actually equipped from a damage standpoint. So to do that, we have we don't star character pawn. Yes, we do. Okay, we have our character pawn. We have a bunch of divides. If we take our character pawn, where is it? It was right there. Here we go. If we get our character pawn, from this we can get the progression component. And with our progression component, this is where we're going to have to do a little bit of work. If we drag off of this and we do a get on here, I believe we have a couple functions in here. So we can get relic core progression for type, tier progression for type, relic path data, Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these. So inside of our blueprints, inside of our component for compression. All right, if we get relic progression for path, get core tier progression for type, get relic. This is all great. None of these help me, in the sense that none of them are super clear. So if we get core tier for progression, let's see what this does. As it goes through, it returns the tier. Okay. If we get core progression for type, it gets the progression, and the core progression is going to be the status of the stasis. That's not what we want. Okay. Get relic path names. Get relic path data. There's got to be a function I'm missing here. Get core progression for type. This one is returning a value off of this. How are we currently using this? We may need a new function. Find by name. Let's look everywhere. So inside of our loadout. So we're getting the core progression for the type. We're checking to see that that's a shard tile. And then we are getting the, updating the visuals. Okay. Updating the visuals isn't what we wanted. What we're looking for is we're looking for the piece that updates the descriptions. Here we go. So we get our progression component and we get, look, we've got it. It's right here. This is what we need. We don't even have to do all this other stuff. Perfect. So let's go back here with our compression component, or not compression. I keep calling it compression. It's progression component. See if we can make some room here. From the progression component, dang it. I'm going to take this. Okay, so here's a bunch of our data, which is cool. All right, and we have damage. This is the damage that we want to do. Now, what's interesting is there's a couple aspects about this. What we want to do is this damage number, if we look at our data table, is a value for primary attack progression, and the damage is just a float. Okay? And we want that to be in hundreds because doing 3 damage doesn't feel good to anybody. So if we take this and we multiply it by, oh, I see what's happening. Okay, so what's happening is, this is what's happening. Here's our gameplay effect for doing damage. This damage basically does a damage execution, and the damage execution is a scalable float of 1,000. So this is going to be limited to 1,000. All right, let's just plug this in. Let's just plug it in and see. We're going to take the damage, and if it's on a scale of 1,000, yeah, I don't like that. That's just such a weird way to think about this. Can we go ahead and not do this from a curve? Hold on. I don't want to save this. I want to duplicate this. Melee straight. Melee. I want to try direct. Okay, and then let's, in here, let's modify this one. Because I know the other one works, I want to keep that as a point of reference. So in here, hold on one second. Hopefully I had that on and I just turned it off temporarily, but we'll see. Yeah, if not, welcome back to the stream. I forgot to turn on the microphone. Melee direct. Okay, so we got melee direct. Everything we were doing prior to this was just the intro, and basically we're trying to connect, just in case I did have the mic off. Everything I did prior to this was literally the intro. Welcome back, we're making a game. And we're trying to connect our damage data table to the actual act of doing damage right now. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so this should be direct. It is direct. And then let's just nuke all of this stuff. Scalable float magnitude. Magnitude value represented by a scalable float. Oh, interesting. Is there another way to do this? Attribute based. Based on an attribute. Set by caller. Let's try that. We haven't tried that. Data tag. Oh, I didn't know we could do this. I've never tried to use this. Set by caller damage. That's interesting. This is going to get added to base damage. We could probably make this override. Okay, my guess is this is not going to actually do any damage. But we can try it. Gameplay effect damage trait, instant gameplay damage type basic. Damage execution. Okay, let's compile and save. If we press play right now, do we do damage with our melee? Wait, yeah. No, we do not. We definitely do not. Okay, so let's go back to this. We're gonna take our value. Refresh nodes, effect context, damage effect context. The damage effect context is straight up, and distance time. There's nothing in the hit result that we can do. I don't know that there's any handles in there. Nope, there's no handles in there. Okay, so let's take the damage, multiply it by 100, and feed that into the level. Try again. Nope, no damage. Okay, so that clearly does not work. That is because I don't know how this tag works. I'm pretty certain. So let's just try this. Let's just no tag it. Let's go scalable. No, I don't want scalable. If we do attribute based, coefficient 1, attribute, backing attribute is Lyra based damage. Okay, let's try that. That doesn't even seem like it's doing damage. That's if we use a curve table. Add. I know if I fill in all this curve table stuff, it will work, but I don't want to do that. The reason I don't want to do that is because then I have to do all kinds of weird calculations. I just want to be able to set the value. And I think part of the problem is we go scalable float. We're going to add it to the base. Let's go just one. Play. Okay, so that's doing damage. 1. Does 1 damage. Okay. So if we change this to 100, does it do 100 damage? It does. Okay, so in a sense, this is working, but the level what if we did, I'm curious, does override work? We gotta figure out if this works too. Override works as well. Okay, but what's not changing is if we look at our ability, when we feed in the level, this isn't changing. And that's because my guess is if we put this level at 0.5, let me show you. Let's see if we do 50. Okay, so that didn't change. Let's go to add, damage execution, scalable float, magnitude. Oh, look at this. Latitude set damage. Min level, max level. That's interesting. Still doing 100. But if we look at this one, if I put in a curve as a scalable float with curve, let's see if that changes. If we go melee damage, we use curve. So that's 1,000 damage. If we go with 100,000 damage, at 1, it's 100,000. So watch what happens. If I do this damage, I think we'll do 500,000. Okay, that was more than 500,000. That was 66,669. Where's that number coming from? What in the world? Okay, so that's at 1. Scalable float. Our level is working now. I just don't like this. Okay, level of 0.5. Okay, so let's change this rather to adding to the base. Let's just override the base. So it's just going to take whatever we feed in. Nope. How in the world is this thing coming up with 66,600? It's 2/3. Let's look at this curve. Maybe that's the deal. Melee damage curve. Curve. Oh, that's why. It's not linear. That's why it's not linear. So let's just change this to linear. This one. Okay, cool. Now we should be at 50,000. 50,000. Boom, 50,000 damage. That's a lot of damage. Okay, so here's the thing though. What this means is all of our damage calculation that feeds into here, whatever the value is that we feed in, we have to divide by 100, or divide by 100,000. So what that does is that takes whatever our damage number is and it normalizes it. So when we start, depending on what tier we're at, and actually let's see, if we look at this, we should be doing 300 damage on our melee attack. That's what we want to see, is 300 damage. Instead we're doing 30,000. Did I get the math wrong on that? Divide by... Did I have 1 million in there? Now you might be wondering why I'm using such a large number. The idea is I want to be able to do overkill. That's 3,000 damage. Holy smokes, why is that number so big? So basically I don't need to multiply this by 100, I guess. That's 30. 100,000. Okay. So this should be 300. That's 300 damage. Okay, so we are doing 300 damage. Awesome. That means that we have successfully connected. I'm gonna talk about some of the things I don't like about this in a second. So right now we're doing 300. So if we step this up, we're still doing 300. Oh, we don't have any shards. Shoot. And all the enemies took my shards. So let's go again. Okay. So once again, let's check. 300 damage. Sweet. Now, if we increase tier 3, we should be doing 500. So I have as the player, I've elected, I want to increase my stasis. Just line up. 500 damage. Dude, we just connected our damage to this. That's pretty cool. Okay, so if we go back, if I take this up to here, we should be doing 700 damage. Boom. Beautiful. Okay, so very fun, very fun. Okay, what do I not like about this? I don't like that I have to remember as a dev about this 100,000 number. And I randomly picked this 100,000 number because I wanted to be able to do more damage than you know, like for example, because what's going to happen is during the damage calculation in the code, this is going to come in and it's going to take whatever the number is, it's going to do all the calculations, and that's how much damage is going to be applied. But if there's, like, for example, a crit chance in the code, you could potentially do more than like 500 right now. Like right now we have 500 worth of damage. With crit, maybe with a 20% chance of crit with a 100% crit damage, that would be 1,000. So our top tier right now in our data table is an 11. So if we go to 11, that means we should be doing 1,100 damage per hit. So let's just max this. What did it say? 900 damage. Oh, I guess that must be for a different chain. Okay, but we are doing 900. Also, we got a problem where when we kill 2 different enemies, the effects, like watch, the effects for both show up on the same place, not on each individual enemy. We're gonna have to fix that as well, but that's okay. So which one was it that was doing damage? 11 is pulse. Pulse tier 3. So theoretically, if we take this and we convert this to a pulse shard, okay, and then let's just drop a bunch of them. Great. So now when we play, we just picked up a bunch of pulse shards. Right now we got melee. If we go pulse 700, that's 900. Do we have enough to get to? We have just enough. Great. So we should now be doing 1100 damage. Pulse down. There it is. So that is very cool and totally working. Cool. Okay. So, as I was saying, that is working. I don't like the idea that I have to remember this 100,000. Technically speaking, I don't need 100,000. I could probably... No, I'm going to keep 100,000 because the thing is, I'm setting this to an artificially large number because there's a chance when everything kind of molds together that we end up doing, you know, massive amounts of damage. And this would cap out the most that you could possibly show to your players if you do some crazy overkill. And it's going to be interesting to see how builds kind of combine and crits add up. We may have to change this. But anyways, we got that working, which is kind of cool. So now our damage is tied to our data table, which is great. Now let's do the same thing for ranged. So I'm going to compile and save this. And right now our ranged attack is here. Here's our range attack. And the damage that we're doing is done by the projectile. So the projectile drops in here. This from projectile base. Okay, now there's a lot of different damages that potentially get done in here. I believe this is the one that does damage. Oh, that's stagger damage. That's not the damage I'm looking for. That's a whole other kind of damage. Hold on. Damage spread. Handle the overlap. Here we go. Do the overlap. We detonate, and if we're doing damage spread, we do damage spread. When we detonate, we come through here. That's chain hits. Iterate through all the pawns. We do some line traces. Apply damage. All right. In both cases, we're applying damage. In this case, we're applying damage if the ability system is valid. If it's not valid, then we're checking for a Lyra ability system. And if that's valid, then we're looking for a pawn extension. And then we're adding the hit. So the question is, which of these are we doing when we use range attacks? Let's just double check. Huh. None of them? That seems suspicious. Okay, let's check everywhere we apply a gameplay effect. There's one. That's our second one. What is this? Event handle overlap hit. Oh, so we're not even detonating. And this is the overlap hit applied gameplay effect. So this is the one that we're using then? It is. And the gameplay effect we're using is damage blossom. So if we look at this, our applied gameplay effect is set to damage blossom. I want to use the direct. Compile that. And we need to go back to our range attack and make sure that the targeted single shot projectile also defaults to that. Melee direct. Cool. This is there. That's the capsule radius. We can turn off damage spread for now. We don't need it. We don't need explosive, etc. So compile. Let's do a save all. Let's check all this out just in case we get one of our famous crashes. Something I have not checked yet or in a while. Those are levels. Those look good. Okay. Okay, we're applying damage. Got it. How much damage is being applied there? And where are our damage numbers? Okay, we got a couple issues. Let's see here. We're applying it a level. What? There's no way. If we're actually applying the direct damage, where is that? Let's just do the same thing here. Let's get this divided by 100,000. GE effect melee direct. Projectile base. Okay. Other actor. That's the target. But we need the instigator in this case. Not the other actor. Do we have it? Target actor. Ground zero. Overlapping actor. Okay, so we need to get, oh man, this is kind of a pain. It's interesting to me that we don't, nowhere in here have we gotten our player. That seems crazy. So when we spawn this, we probably set our instigator. So inside of our range attack, which comes from here, look at this mess. Our controlled pawn is the instigator. And the controlled pawn is a 2D character hero. So we should be able to get the instigator then. Okay, so if we want to look to see where we're using instigator. Also, isn't there a way to bookmark this view? Bookmarks. Where did that go? Bookmarks. How do I add to bookmarks? Can I just right click? Okay, I'll do a quick internet search. Add bookmark Unreal Engine. Control and the number key. Let's try it. Control 1. All right. That didn't work. So either it's not control 1, or it's the control and the number pad 1. Yeah, that's not working. That must be for the viewport, maybe. Oh, got it. It's shift to return. Okay, so right here, if I do control 1, then if I'm over here and I do shift 1, it goes right back. Okay, perfect. So now I can get back to where I was. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for instigator. Get the instigator. Get component by class. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Get the instigator. Casting to paper 2D default. Casting an NPC. Casting a character. These are weird casts. I don't know why we're doing all this. We're going to go back and clean all that up at some point. Cast a character. Why am I casting a character? Comparing teams. That's checking for self-destruction. There's also self-destruction. Determine velocity vector. Okay, so shift 1 takes us back to where we were. So that is not what we need. Here's what we need. And it's mind-boggling to me that we don't have the palm. Anyways, I'm going to add the pawn. It just seems weird that we don't have that. Begin play. Let's get the instigator. Okay, we already have that. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to find... No, let's get component by class. Get component by class. And the class we're looking for here is the progression component. Progression. Okay. And with that, we're going to promote this to a variable. And we're going to set this. This is going to be instigator progression component. Actually, we don't need component because it should just fall in components. It does. Okay, so we're going to set that. And then what we're going to do, dude, I love the fact that we just discovered these bookmarks. I'm going to go back to where I was. I'm going to shift 1. Oh, so nice. So nice. If we get nothing at all out of this stream today, blueprint bookmarks are my new favorite thing. I will post to Discord immediately after. All right, here's what we want to do. We're going to set what this damage value is. So let's do this. Let's create a new variable. I'm going to call it, we have so much cleanup to do. This is going to be local damage level. Okay, and it's going to be a float. Compile and save. And what we're going to do is just before this, let's set that. I'm going to set that local damage level to 1. No, 0. Let's try 0. Okay, and then what we're going to do is if I'm going to get this, if that's valid, we're going to set it to something else. Okay, so if it's valid, we're going to set it to something else. If it's not valid, we're going to keep going. And then we're going to keep going. All right, let's make some room. Okay, and what we're going to set it to, because this is valid, we know that we can read this now. So we're going to get this, and we're going to get the primary attack from that. And then we're going to do the same multiplication we did like here. And then ultimately, that's going to set our damage level. And then over here, we're going to feed our damage level in here. Okay? Compile and save. That's detonate if it's explosive. Okay, so we're not doing any explosive damage. Okay, look at this, we're doing 0 damage. The only way we're doing 0 damage is if our, and that's why I set it to 0 by the way, is if our instigator progression is invalid. So let's test my theory. Okay. Oh wait. My theory might be wrong. 0.003. What is our hit? Oh, why is this set to damage blossom? That's why. We're doing like no damage because we're set to damage blossom, but we shouldn't be damage blossom. We should be the range attack. Should be using targeted shot. BP target shot should be using. Oh, that's the overlap hit. Hold on. Where's damage blossom set? Detonate. Okay, we missed something. Wait, that's the overlap hit gameplay effect. This is gameplay tag. Overlap. Hold up. Something's not right, y'all. Overlap hit gameplay effect. Find references by name. We're not setting it. I am calling foul. Compile. We're gonna reopen this. Is this an Unreal bug? So this is the straight shot. This is the one that should be being used. This is clearly marked for melee if direct. So either we're not using the range attack we think we are, or we're not using the projectile we think we are. So how do we confirm this? Targeted shot. Okay, what we could do is we could, yeah, that's not gonna be it either. Gameplay attack. Range attack. Okay, let's do something. If you want to add some activate ability, let's do a print string here. And let's put a breakpoint on it. I want to know if we're hitting that ability. We clearly are. And somehow our overlap hit is still... What the world? Dude, even the default's set to melee direct. Oh, there's something suspect. Melee direct. Ranged hazard. That's not gonna be it. Projectile lob. Melee direct. Projectile lob. Melee direct. Dark energy. Melee direct as well. Projectile bombs, also melee direct. Poison bombs. Dude, everything is melee direct. How is that value getting set to... What the world? Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Okay, I have an idea where this could be happening. Let's go back to our ranged attack. We can take this out. We can just delete all this. We don't need any of this. We're not even going to. We didn't make any change. We're not going to check that in. So this is our range base. Ah, here it is. This is why. What in the world? Okay, so what was happening was we're not actually spawning one of those. We're actually spawning our own separately. And the projectile we're spawning is dark energy, and we're overriding it. So let's go. We want to set this to melee direct. Melee direct. Okay, compile and save. That we do want to save. Okay, so now okay, we know we're nuking the character. We also have a bug. Find team from actor. Access none. Trying to get the player state. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's in code. That's a problem for future us. Okay. We know we're doing damage is the biggest thing. And we know we should be doing the exact same amount of damage that we're doing for melee right now. But we can't see it because we're not getting any of our damage numbers. Why not? Okay, let's go take a look at melee. Melee, we get damage numbers because this is gameplay effect attack base. Let's close some of these down so we can read these. Okay, so for our melee, when we apply the gameplay effect, this gameplay effect has damage taken. Interesting. This gameplay queue should do damage taken. So if we look in here under our gameplay queues and we look at damage taken, let's see what's going on here. On burst. So let's go play. Okay, so if we swipe this, we hit this on burst. Okay, cool, and we get our numbers. If we range attack it, okay, our instigator actor doesn't have a player state, so it never continues on. Okay, so here's what's happening. This gameplay queue notify is getting the instigator actor from the effect context. So back here in projectile base, there's our effect context. We're not setting the instigator here. Get instigator? No. Where are we? We're in the projectile base. Here we go. Get the instigator. Let's plug this in. We want this for sure. And then here we're making our hit result. execute gameplay cue on actor, and the gameplay cue in this case is detonate. Oh, interesting. That's probably not what we really want. Then we're going to get the other actor system component. We're going to make a gameplay effect context struct handle. And that is we're doing that with the other actor's ability system. The target. Let's see what this is now. Our target's not set properly. This is the problem. That's the firehead. But the firehead doesn't have a player state. Interesting. So this is gameplay cue parameters. So hold up a second, let's go back here. We might be able to fix this. Okay, I just got lost, y'all. Make gameplay cue parameters. Execute gameplay cue on actor. This would be explicit if we did this. Because what's happening is when we are applying this gameplay effect to the target, we're applying the target to the target. But yeah. Okay, there's another way to do this. What we can do is let's take our gameplay effect for melee damage. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this, and this is gonna be it's fine. We were gonna probably do this anyways. We're gonna do range damage, direct. Okay, and then in here I'm going to take out I might take out range. We may come back and do this differently, but we can take it out, so we're not actually doing that now. And then back in our projectile, what we're going to do is we're going to apply our gameplay effect, but we're also going to do a gameplay cue. We're going to execute a gameplay cue on the actor. So this is the executing of the gameplay cue, because right here we can specify exactly all of the parameters. So the cue tag is going to be damage. We're going to apply it here. Damage taken. And we're going to make a gameplay cue parameters. Okay, and then let's do we're not worried about any of that stuff, huh? Okay. Let's see what just happens. Let's just see what happens if we do it like this. So the instigator is here. It's going to be interesting to see what this magnitude does. Let's just put in some weird numbers here so we can see if there's differences. And then noticing we don't have any effect context filled in there. And the target in this case is going to be our instigator, I believe. That may need to be the player, but let's just try this. Okay. I definitely don't see any damage numbers, so probably what's happening is our target still bogus. Okay. Get the instigator actor. Whoa. Who called this? Debug, blueprint debugger, call stack. This was called by damage taken, which was called by okay, we need to put a breakpoint in there just to make sure that's where we're hitting. So here's our range attack. This is part of range attack base. Spawning the actor, that's not where it's going to happen. It's going to happen in our right here. So we want to know that it's doing this first. Okay, so something else is causing us to apply damage. Then we're hitting it. Our instigator here is 2D hero pawn. Our instigator here is 2D hero pawn. And our gameplay cue is damage taken. I see no effect causer. That might be an interesting thing. So we're going to do that, and we're going to come in burst. And the target in this case, 2D hero pawn. Look at that. Okay. Our effect context does not have a valid value. So we're not getting that. That's the problem. So in here, there's no effect context. Make. Nope, that's not going to do it either. Make gameplay cue parameters. Man, we seem stuck. We seem stuck in that. How did we set the effect context for this if we're gonna use? So our workaround's not working because so this first one isn't the one. Then we hit our context, then we come in here and our target is 2D hero pawn, but our effect context has nothing in it. Interesting. Two different things. We have an event on burst, and we also have a function on burst. No, we have an on execute. I don't even know if we're hitting that. Here's what I don't understand. Why are we getting the instigator actor from the effect context instead of from here? Let's just try it. This may break everything else though. So we are hitting this on execute. This is being called, I don't know who this is. So debug, blueprint debugger, let's bring this up, check our call stack. This is being called from overlapping hit. Okay. In the projectile base event graph, apply gameplay effect to target. And the effect we're applying, we would probably be doing double damage with the way this is set up right now. Okay. So what is this applying? Melee direct. That's why. Okay, so this should be range direct. GE. Range direct. Compile. Save. Play. Let's go. Energy is dropping. Elf needs food badly. This somehow is still melee direct. Okay, let's go back to our range attack, which comes from attack weapon base, projectile spawn, range attack, range direct. Once again, give it another go. Here we go. Range direct. Okay, so we should not hit. We don't. Good. Now, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting to hit the on execute here though. Because, what? And then it hits the on burst. How's that happening? It's doing both. How's that happening? Okay, let's skip this. I want to see if we're hitting. Holy smokes. Somehow this is both activating and bursting. That's kind of wild. I have another plan. I have another question. If we go back to range direct, if we bring back our damage taken here, damage taken, and we go back to our, so we should hit that breakpoint again, just for ease of discovery. Okay, so that's going to apply the gameplay effect. This is on execute. What if we just drag off of here? Does that fix our problem? No, it does not. And it does not because on execute, comes in here. Who's our instigator? Unknown. Context. Context handle struct. Context handle struct gets the hit result. The hit result, we're making a hit result. Our hit result does not have here's our game effect context struct handle. This makes a context. The context in this case is for the other actor. And there's no way for us to set, like in here, we cannot set any of the values, which is annoying. Yeah. Set members of gameplay struct. Like a lot of times, if you could, they would be right here, but they're not. So we're in workaround land right now, which I don't like, but I understand why it's happening. Instigator, Lyra. What is it set to at this point? Okay, our instigator Lyra's damage component, once we finish this is going to be an ability system component. And this is the other actor. So what are these set to? That's the other actor. Okay, instigator Lyra ability system component. Let's double check where that's getting set. It is getting set here. I want to know what this is. (2D hero Paul). Okay. I also want to make sure that that is not getting overridden here. Okay. This is 2D hero pawn. We're not overriding it. So when we apply this, the instigator Lyra ability system component should be the 2D hero pawn. So if that's the case, when we drop in here, the instigator, hold on a second, get instigator. I want to know what that value is. We don't need this one anymore. We know it's good. We don't need that one anymore. We know we're all right. All right, drop it in here. Warning. Unknown class. Okay, it doesn't work. Get instigator. No, that's not what I want. Somewhere in here, we're passing that value in. Where are we passing that into? The target. I want to get this target. Unknown. It seems bogus to me. For some reason, I can't add a breakpoint on this anymore. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. There we go. Now we can. That's the execute. Here's the activate. So that's not valid. That's the firehead. Parameters. Doesn't have an instigator. So none of this is going to be good. Because in here, our effect context is nothing in it. That's our raw magnitude. In here, parameters. Instigator set to none. What's the instigator set to none? Okay, let's reconnect this and go again. Only inside range direct, we're going to remove this. Okay, we're going to execute the cue. We know we're hitting that. We don't need to stop there anymore. We're on burst. What is our target? 2D hero palm. What is our instigator? 2D hero palm. In here, our instigator target is unknown. 2D hero palm. Let's go. Debug. Disable all breakpoints. Go. Still no numbers. Okay, so debug and a what? Debug enable all breakpoints. That's 2D hero ball. Okay, I feel like we may have broken some stuff. Let's try something else. Yeah, we did. So here's what we broke. We don't need this. I want to know what that is set to when we come in here when it's working. So inside of this game queue notify latent, we were getting this as our cast. I want to know what this value is when we come in here. And then on our event graph, same thing. I want to know what it is when we come in here. play. Let's do one melee attack. Okay, come in here. Alright, that worked. That's because our instigator actor is a Lyra player state. What in the world? Lyra player state. So for melee, this is getting set to a Lyra player state somehow. How is that possible? We're applying gameplay effect to self. And that is getting the Lyra ability system component from the actor and a damage effect context. And our damage effect context here is being set from getting the ability system and creating an effect context. So what are we doing inside of our ranged attack? Or inside of our projectile is probably better. Apply gameplay effect to target. That was interesting. That might just be, it might be just we're using the wrong one. Let's try that. Let's switch this. Let's apply gameplay effect game. Apply gameplay effect to self. Okay. So we're going to go like this. That's going to be our other system. And then we got to come up with our... No, I picked the wrong one. Apply gameplay effect to self, not spec. Okay. And the class is going to be the hit class. And the level, we're going to do our local damage level. And the effect context, we're going to duplicate what we did here. We're going to use damage effect context. Do we have... We do not. So let's make this. And we made this over here by getting... Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the instigator and we're going to make effect context and plug that in here. I'm curious. Okay, we clearly do not have numbers. We also don't seem to have our breakpoints. Okay, so we're not applying this right then. Okay, that's one difference. This is the Lyra ability system. So let's get the instigator. Okay, and let's get game ability. Nope, this is a pawn object reference. That's not what I want. Let's just copy it. So get ability system component for actor reference. And the target in this case, can we get this from here? Nope, that doesn't plug in. So let's kill this. Variables. Interesting. Let's just try this one. I'm not hitting those breakpoints. Oh wait, hold on. Did we turn off our GameCube notify lightning on this thing? Oh, we did. Oh no. Damage. Damage taken. Compile. Save. Let's try that again. This time, hopefully we're good. Yes. Okay, we still don't have damage numbers, which is sort of a bummer. If we get the Lyra ability system component, we do it like this. No numbers. Okay, I do not in here on burst. If we melee, we hit this. We go past it, and it's because our instigator actor is a Lyra player state 0. That's for melee. Okay, then we come back in here. Oh, we do this twice because I hit 2. Hold on, that's valid. That's a 2D hero pawn. Dude, this is all working. It's working. Hold on a second. Oh, but our numbers are wrong. Oh, it is working. Excellent. We're almost there, y'all. Which is good because I only have 30 minutes to do my Duolingo. Okay. Okay, all we need to do. We're close. We need a hit result. For this effect context, let's add hit result. Okay, so let's do a couple things. Let's promote this to a variable. Okay, and this is going to be damage context. And one day future us is going to have to figure out the differences here because this is fun. Okay, and with this, all right, now it's super important. This is what got us before. We do not want to drag off of this to create our hit result. Okay, we want to add a hit result to the one that we have as a variable. And we'll clean all this up in a second. Okay, so we're going to add a hit result. So let's make a hit result. So we're going to make a hit result. And we're going to set the location to be where the projectile hit. Okay. And the rest of it, let's just chill for now. Leap of faith. Okay, leap of faith did not work. Why not? It's because inside of our GCN, did we not get the right hit result? Wait a minute, did I forget to connect something? I think I forgot to connect something. Not here. Not there. Not there. Here. Use the bookmark. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to connect in the damage context, that's why. Bingo. We should be good now. Okay. We're gonna go for another play. And mostly because I want to get rid of that thing that's popping up on the screen. Okay. Leap of faith. Okay. So leap of faith once again did not work. Why not? Let's put a breakpoint back in. And we hit the breakpoint. Go through there. Where's our location? Still 0, 0, 0. That seems suspect. Interesting. Get the hit result. Break the hit result. I want to use this location instead. Nope. That location's still bogus. Somehow our location's not accurate. So back here. Oh, we didn't connect in the add hit result. This is the problem when we're working all cluttered like this. So let's go back to our GCN latent. Rather than using the hit result, let's go back to using the location. Since that was working before. Now for real, we're going leap of faith. Still no numbers. Oh, I have definitely died a lot of times on these leaps of faith tonight, y'all. Alright, so our location is bogus here. So let's get the hit result from the context. Let's break it. Let's get the location. Let's see if this is valid. There we go. That works. And we got numbers. An hour and 33 minutes later, we have... Okay, let's break this. I want to see if our melee attacks are broken. They are not. Okay. Yep, they're not. And our range attacks now do damage numbers too. However, the piece that we're missing is, so let's compile and save this. There's an important note to self here. The difference between the parameters that get passed into a gameplay queue and the effect context parameters and getting those instead. This is such a cluster storm of when do you use which one? And there's going to need to be some legit code cleanup here to settle that out. So in our range attack, this is using our attack base. We're spawning an actor, which is our projectile. We're doing our gameplay effect for range direct damage. Okay, and inside of our projectile base, we can theoretically get rid of a bunch of this stuff. Okay. Now the thing that I'm interested in figuring out is this local damage level. How are we setting that? So look at local damage level, find references by name. We're setting it to 0. Then we are setting it to the result of the damage from melee attack. But we want primary range attack. Get primary range attack data. So let's break this. We want the damage number from this. And this should finish our loop. So compile and save this. And then for sanity, if we play, our range attack right now is set to do 200 damage and our melee attack is set to do 300. So our melee attack still does 300. Our range attack does 200. Y'all, it is working. I know that was nuts from the standpoint of that took us, look, this is dev. There's a whole lot of stumbling, like I said. We definitely we definitely ate it on a lot of those leaps of faith tonight. But there's some convoluted stuff in here with gameplay ability system. I'm not upset by it. I think we successfully connected our damage from our data tables and the equips that we're doing. If we're gonna bring it back, let's take this up a level. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's watch it increase just for a final piece here. If we bring up, right now, we do 200. If we increase our stasis, look at our range attack. It's now 400. When we get to our next tier, we have 600 and 700. So we should be doing 600 on a range attack and 700 on a melee. Dude, that is awesome. Okay? So where I'm excited, though, that I'm still just carrying this gameplay ability system is there's a lot of little effects in our data table, like damage over time and heal over time. There's just lots of little things, and that's where those gameplay effects are going to come in. So we got a little bit of work to do to better understand. We'll do some research on when it's in the context and when it should be in the parameters, which one to use at which time. And if nothing at all, at least for this project, if we do it one way, that will be great because I'll understand exactly what's going on. Right now I feel like it's split because when I originally built this, I didn't really understand what was going on with the gameplay ability system. So with that, we're going to call this a success. We're close. We can actually create damage based on the shards that we collect in game into that damage. I think what we'll do over the next week or so is get it so that a lot of those little add-on abilities like damage over time, etc. all work. Change some of our enemy health bars, and then we'll start getting into relic moves, y'all. So as always, shout out to Patreon. Thanks for the support. Everybody who watched this, if you made it through an hour and a half, like, tip the hat to you. That's amazing. Hopefully there was some fun things in here. Everybody else helping spread the word, everything you do for the channel, super appreciate it. I hope you're having an amazing rest of your day, weekend, etc. My name's Kevin. I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.